Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So we had our UK South Fountain Pen Club meetup in June 2019, and you can see all of us here. We're in a different location. The normal pub that we actually frequent had a 5k run going on through the town, so a lot of roads were closed and we had to find an alternative location, but I think we found a really good location. So I took some pens with me, and these are some of the pens that I have in my collection. So some of these pens I am looking to sell. Those pens are pens number 2 to 11. I have the TWSBI VAC 700R. I have a Visconti, and this is the Opera Deep Blue Ocean. I have a raw ebonite fountain pen. I also have a Visconti Opera True Black, which is a pen that I'm looking to sell. If you're interested, just drop me an email, penultimatedave@gmail.com. Also, the Visconti Opera Master Clear Demo, the Visconti Divina, and this is the Elegance in the brown. The next pen here is the Visconti Homo Sapiens, and this is the Evolution. That has now been sold. I have a couple of Edison collie heirs, the Persimmon Swirl, and also the Blue Steel. I have those in a medium nib and also a 1.5mm stub nib. Those I am going to sell as well, and also an Edison Perlette, which is a small blue pen there in the lapis blue, and also a Mont Blanc 146 Legrand in a double broad. And then finally I brought an Opus 88, and this has one of my Architect grind nibs, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then on to the next case here. These were some other pens that I brought. There's a Delta Federico here on the left, which I'm looking to sell from my collection. A Pelican M800 Renaissance Brown. A Leonardo Officina Italiana. And this is a Momento Zero in the Positano Blue. And then the rest of the pens I'm not looking to sell, unfortunately. But this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, the Visconti Speakeasy, two Visconti Opera Masters, and these are the Corvina and the Stardust. Also an Omras 360, and then a couple of Scribo 2s in the Noble Green and the Cardinal Red, and then a couple of Scribo Fills in the Blue Grey and the Blue Black. And Jackie brought along this lovely pen. It's a pen that she acquired recently from the UK Fountain Pens Facebook group, and it was on sale, and she decided to buy it. It's a lovely specimen. It's the Anoat Magna Classic. It's black and silver, but it's a prototype model, and it is the British Museum. And I've seen this pen firsthand at the London Pen Show, and I've actually handled the pen myself, and it is a really nice pen. And Jackie picked it up for an insane price. If I had seen that price, I probably would have bought the pen too. It's a lovely pen, and I do like these Anotos. It has a number size nib, and I believe that was a medium nib, so I need to have words with Jackie on this, because she doesn't normally buy medium nib pens. Gary also brought back to me my Parker Duofold, and this is a Prestige Blue Chevron. He did a review of this recently. He didn't like it as much as I did, but I still think this is a lovely pen, and I still love how it writes. And then I mentioned that I brought along an Opus 88, and this has my Architect grind on, and you can see here the Architect grind. So it has a slanting cut on the nib there, so you can actually see as it zooms in, it's more of a 45-degree angle almost. And that basically allows you to change the writing, not only the angle but also the line width. So instead of, say, with a broad nib or a stub nib having wider verticals and narrower horizontals, it actually does the opposite. And I allowed a number of people to try that at the club, and they all seemed to like it. And then Jackie brought a new pen, and this was the Pelican M600. And it's the violet white, and this is a pen, I've got the turquoise white, and I like it a lot. I really do want to have violet white as well, and maybe I will buy it. The only issue I have with the M600s is they're a little bit smaller than I prefer. I tend to like the M800s in terms of the girth, the section, and also the length of the pen. But this is such a beautiful pen, and I think Jackie got this with a broad nib. And then Lorraine brought a lovely kit pen with her, and she'd purchased this recently. I'm not normally a fan of kit pens, but this Woods kit pen was really designed nicely, and to be honest, I love the ruthenium trims on this pen. I think it accentuates the wood and makes it look a lot nicer. And then Anthony has recently come back from Japan, and he brought back a really lovely Namiki. And this is the Namiki Yurushi 20, or the Yukari Royale. And I think it's a vermilion Yurushi. And I really did love this nib a lot. The nib is an 18 karat gold medium nib, and it wrote really nice. Not only was it smooth, but it also had some bounce to the nib, and it actually makes me want to buy a Namiki in the future. And you can see here on this nib, it really looks nice. It's an 18 karat gold nib, not a 14 karat gold, but still, it had some line variation to it. And to me, it actually wrote more like a broad, even though it was a medium. I really did like that pen a lot. And then Anthony also brought along with him this Nakaya, and it's a long cigar. Long means the shape, and cigar means no clip. I wasn't as enamoured with the nib with this. It's a 14 karat gold nib, and it was a medium nib, but for me, I find every Nakaya that I've tried so far tends to have more firmer nibs. And they're very sort of similar to the Platinum 3776 nibs in terms of how firm they are. And although it was a medium nib, it tended to write a little bit more like a fine nib. So I'm not normally a fan of these Nakayas, unfortunately. But it's a lovely pen, and I have to say that it's a pen that, if the nib was better, it probably would be a pen that I would purchase. But a lot of people equally like firm writing nibs, so I get that as well. But for me, I prefer a little bit more bounce to my nib. And as I mentioned, I brought along some Edison collie heirs, and this is a persimmon swirl. And I have this in a medium and a 1.5mm stub. If you're interested in this, just drop me an email. I will put these up on my webpage very soon, with a number of other pens I'm going to look to let go of as well. And you can just drop me a message on those. And then Gary brought along his Additive pens, and this is this was a Kickstarter pen, and it's the 3D printed double helix. And as much as I originally swooned over this pen when it first came out, I've heard so many stories about it being a nightmare to try and clean, the ink also staining, and you can kind of see it a little bit there in the cap. And for me, this really isn't a pen for me. I get that it's a really good design feature, and I do like it. I love seeing that ink in that double helix as it swirls around the pen. But I tend to like pens that are a little bit more easier to clean. So for me, it's not really a pen for me, but I liked how the nib wrote. I have to say that the nib wrote very nicely. And then I bought my Visconti Speakeasy here that you can see, and this is a behemoth, mammoth pen. Comes with a 23 karat palladium medium nib, juicy wet, and it's a pen that I love writing with. And I also brought some of the Trufe exclusive Visconti Opera Masters with me, and these are the Corvina and the Stardust. Now these are not for sale, these I am keeping myself, but these are really lovely pens, and I have 1.3mm stub nibs on each of the pens, and I do love how these write. So for me, these are really gorgeous Opera Masters. And you can see here the Stardust has a lovely ruthenium trim on it, and that follows through to both the section and also the nib as well. And I also brought along with me my Omras 360 in this lovely dark grey, and this has an oblique medium nib, and that writes really, really well, and I'm really glad that I was able to pick this up when I did. It's a pen that I do like writing with. And I also brought along, this is a pen that I acquired recently. This was a raw ebonite from Ray at Vintage and Modern Pens. It's an ebonite pen, and I'm going to have a couple of reviews of these very shortly. Not only is it an ebonite pen, but it has a Franklin Christoph 1.9mm music nib on it. And this pen is a gusher, and it writes beautifully. So that is another pen that I acquired recently, and I do like writing with. And then Peter also brought along a number of vintage pens. Peter's mostly more into vintage pens, into some of the old vintage Anotos and Conway Stewart. And this was a lovely Anoto that he brought. And this material is really gorgeous. It's a material that I like a lot. And I've seen on other pens, I've seen Visconti use this material in the past on some of their older pens. I've seen other companies use it. And it's a really captivating material. It's a material that I like a lot. And look at that nib. It's a number 2 size nib with a heart-shaped breather hole, and it's a beautiful pen. So that was it. That was our UK South Fountain Pen Club meetup for June 2019. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.